going from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
It is Monday, 17th March 2025, and we're coming to you live from the Port Mall here in Scarborough, Tobago. I am Adana Kumbi. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Isn't it an awesome feeling to come out of the weekend and into the new work week? Are you ready? Are you primed? Are you ready to go this weekend to give your very best? I'm telling you, we had a weekend filled with activities, so many things to talk about, so many things to unpack this morning, and we do hope that you could stay with us throughout the entire programming as we go through the conversations, as we talk about the things that occurred right here on the island of Tobago, things that impact my life, things that impact your life, and things that impact the lives of those who are coming up in our Tobago community, in communities across Tobago. So we do hope that you could stay with us throughout the entire programming. But of course, before we get into all of those conversations that of course will engage your thought process as well, because of course we want you to be a part of it, we have to head on over to the news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Adana. Here is your news in 90 seconds for Monday, March 17th, 2025. Caribbean Airlines pilot Christian Battersby, 27-year-old of Maracas Valley, St. Joseph, encountered difficulties on Saturday after diving off the Pigeon Point jetty while with friends. He was assisted to shore by his friends, and a passerby performed CPR until ambulance services arrived. He was taken to the Scarborough General Hospital, where doctors confirmed he broke his neck in 2 places and sustained spinal cord injuries. He remains in critical condition and will be admitted to the intensive care unit until he can be transferred to Trinidad. The commissioning of the U.S. $129 million A&R Robinson International Airport Terminal in Tobago took on a political tone, with tensions between Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and the THE Chief Secretary Farley Augustine. Rowley urged Augustine to meet with Sandals officials, while Minister Shamfor Cudjoe's speech drew cheers. Finance Minister Colin Imbert highlighted the terminal's near completion, set to be operational by July 2025. The facility, featuring air bridges and modern security, will handle 3 million passengers annually, boosting Tobago's tourism and economy. The old terminal will be repurposed for cargo and administration. And finally, the Tobago People's Party has decided against selecting either of the 2 candidates for Tobago West and will consider other prospects. Following consultation, the party's executive directed the screening committee to explore more options. The final candidates will be announced at a special convention on March 23rd. For Tobago East, the TPP selected David Thomas from 6 nominees. The TPP is emerging as a key political force and could play a crucial role in the upcoming general elections. And that was your news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Bianna, for our news there in 90 seconds. And as I said earlier, there is so much to unpack. So many things happened over the weekend. Yes. So many things to talk about. Where do we begin? First and foremost, I want to speak on Mr. Battersby. That very unfortunate situation there taking place at the Pigeon Point jetty over the weekend. Yes. My concern is that, of course, we have to pay, we have to give care to our activities on the beach. Yes. I didn't do much research in terms of finding out if there is a sign, because I saw on social media posts where someone was urging the public, please do not dive off the jetty. So I'm wondering if there is any signage there.
Well, I guess based on investigations, I asked 2 friends who went there yesterday to, check to see if there are signs, and there was a sign there.
Okay, so there are signs there. Yes. And so we're hoping that, persons will pay attention, and they will, of course, obviously adhere to the guidelines. Yes. Because, this is a critical condition, and we don't want to have instances like this happening to any and everybody, well, to anybody at all for that matter. So please, let's adhere to the signage that is placed around, especially our facilities here on the island of Tobago. We want to ensure that tourism remains safe so that people can enjoy all that we have to offer here on the island of Tobago.
And you know, Adana is like within the click of a finger, you know, he probably was enjoying time with his friends, and then, you know, tragedy struck.
I know, and you know, it's good to see that people have come around. They sprung into action immediately to assist.
Yes, and I also saw that they said the person who gave him the CPR, she should be awarded as well.
That's right. I mean, look at her in action there.
Yes.
Do we even know if she's trained? I mean, this is just somebody acting on, listen, there's a life that we need to save, there's a life we need to preserve, so let's do what we can.
Yes.
You know, and of course, she must be given her recognition as well. And I do hope, of course, as a recovery, speedy recovery, I do hope that things can happen in such a way that Mr. Battersby can be restored back to full health.
Yes.
You know, he's a young pilot. You know, his whole career, his whole life is ahead of him, and so we do hope that, you know, some sort of healing and restoration can come to him in the soonest possible time.
So true.
Right? So, you know, kudos to the Tobago community and for those of you who came forward to lend that measure of support.
Yes.
And we do hope for a speedy recovery for Mr. Battersby.
Yes.
Biana, more to unpack. I want to go to TPP now. We have been waiting. How long has it been? We've been sitting waiting.
I believe it's more than 3 weeks.
I could say it's over a month. My calculations. I don't know if we got to a month yet, and we've been sitting waiting, you know, to get the information. We got the results for the nominee for Tobago East.
Yes.
And I mean, with only 2 candidates for the West, you thought, you know, it might have been like, okay, one of the 2.
An easy process.
And now we're hearing, nah, this won't do. This won't do. And I mean, first and foremost, I wonder how the 2 men who have presented themselves, how they feel about that situation. And I'm also wondering what was the decision, what caused the decision for them to go back and invite new persons to nominate themselves for candidacy.
I think that would be a question for the screening committee.
Exactly. And, you know, I would like for them to reveal the responses, you know, the reason for that decision to the general public. I mean, we would like to know what are the criteria, what are the things you were looking for and hoping for. Is it that you didn't see it in these 2 gentlemen? Is it that you just realized, okay, maybe we should have more than 2 persons vying for this opportunity? What are the reasons that you have decided after 3 weeks, not just a week, not before the actual screening, to say, well, you know, maybe we should have more people. But after a 3-week long process of us waiting, now to hear that we're going back. And so, you know, it is very interesting to hear what the outcome of that would be. And I'd also like to hear from the 2 gentlemen what their position is in terms of the decision that was made there. But we'll see on was it the 23rd?
Yes,
the 23rd. We'll wait to see what is happening there as well.
Yes.
Biana?
Yes.
More to unpack again.
What is it? The presentation of the 41 candidates?
Well, that could be discussed as well, but I mean, we know that that's happening. We know that that's upcoming. You know, Mr. Young would be sworn in this morning. I think at 9:30 a.m. is the ceremony. We see, of course, him preparing to take the reins of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago as the Prime Minister.
And part of his speech, he said he wanted it to be done in unity.
That's right. That's right. And you know, you saying that now is something that we really need to consider. And when we think about the society that we live in, when we think about the geographical space of Trinidad and Tobago, when we think about the number of people residing here, just 1.4 million of us, I think unity is very, very important. There is a lot of segregation, whether it is segregation by race, by social economic status, by whatever it is, religion, whether it is by education, whatever it is, there's a lot of segregation in this very, very small community of Trinidad and Tobago. And it is something we need to work towards to ensure that, you know, we can stand together as one, because I tell you what, divided we fall. You know, but united we can stand, we can conquer so many different things. And I'm not saying that I have to agree with everything you say, or you have to agree with everything I decide on. But there are ways that we can build our nation together.
So true.
And it's high time that we get to that place where we can say, you know what, let me put aside my political, because we're talking about politics now. Let me put aside my political affiliation and focus on country. Let me focus on what are the projects, what are the initiatives
And how
that
you
will
can contribute.
advance the of course, that will advance the country. And how can I contribute rather than because I'm in the opposition or because I'm not holding the reins now, I'm going to just oppose everything that you come with. That is very, very counterproductive. And I do hope that, that we can work together to get things done seamlessly in Trinidad and Tobago. So of course, we say congratulations to Mr. Stuart Young, and we're going to be looking on to see what's happening, right?
And we must say thanks to Mr. Rowley.
Well, I'm coming to that now. I'm coming to that part now. He served. There are a lot of persons who serve, yes, and it's good to serve. It's good to give back to your country.
Yes.
Not what my country can do for me, but what I can do for my country.
So true.
And so we've seen a man who has dedicated most of his life to service in the country. He spoke on Saturday talking about giving up his profession as a scientist of agriculture to focus on politics. And let me tell you, Biana, I'm sure you can see, I'm sure you will agree, a life in politics, in public office, is no easy feat.
And so true, it's really not easy, because one hand you may believe that you are doing best for the country, and on the other hand, the country is not accepting what you believe you're giving as your best.
And then they are always under scrutiny.
Yes.
You're always criticized. There might be the ones who will praise you, but majorly they are the ones who will criticize you. They will find fault with everything you did.
So
and you
true.
know what stuck out to me is in his closing interview with the 3 journalists, and he was talking about, I think they asked him if he had any regrets, and he said not a regret, but something that was very disappointing, and it really is an emotional thing when he mentioned that in the House, I can't remember what year it was, that the opposition leader at the point in time made the accusations of him and his father being a rapist, and that is on the Hansard. And once it is on the Hansard, it can't come off. Right? And he spoke about that, and it's very, very unfortunate. I know you have to go through a lot of things. I know there will be naysayers. People will say all sorts of things about a person. That's just what the culture is like. That's what the society is like. But I think that is the thing that kind of caused him to feel, it's hurtful. Things can be hurtful, and sometimes they bear a lot more than the average person can bear. Let's talk, for instance, about the increase in salary, if I can go there. A lot of persons are questioning, well, why they have to have such a large increase. And I know the public carries the public service. The public they are the ones that implement the policies that are placed there. However, the policy makers are the ones who have to defend the policy and to ensure that the policy is working. My opinion where that is concerned will remain my opinion. However, I do understand the nature and I do understand the reason for higher demands in terms of remuneration, because it ain't easy. It cannot be easy at all.
But I believe it applies to everybody. Everybody across the board needs that higher remuneration.
I see that plug you put in there. I see that plug you put in there. That is true. We all need to come up to the same level in terms of qualifications and the demands of the job. We should all be paid fairly across the board so that we can all enjoy a certain measure of life where that is concerned.
So true.
Let us stay with the Prime Minister.
Yes.
The outgoing Prime Minister, our most recent Prime Minister who recently resigned, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley. On Saturday there was the presentation of the ANR International Airport, the practical completion, and a lot of people are asking what is a practical completion, and I believe that the definition was given there by the representative from NIDCO. NIDCO, I think, gave the definition of what it means. It basically means that things are in place, but there are other things to do to actually get it operational.
True.
So the actual structure is there, and then we just to do the fine tuning to get it operational. What a beauty! What did you think about the airport itself?
Well, the opportunity was given for me to have a viewing of the inside of the airport. It's really up to international standards. I really like what I'm seeing there, and I hope to use it as soon as it opens.
Well, of course, why not put that down on your bucket list one time, get in there, be on one of the first flights to take off and to return to the ANR International Airport. Of course, being at international standards, of course, a beauty to behold. And of course, something that Tobagonians should be proud of.
Yes.
And you know, I was listening to the Minister of Finance when he was talking about, was it? No, Mr. Sinanan, the Minister of Transport, Works and Transport, when he was talking about the rankings and when he was talking about which international airports are ranking first and second and third, and talking about the fact that Piarco is right now kind of on the top, and thinking that perhaps ANR could tie with Piarco International Airport. Ain't nowhere there's a tie there, and let me be a little bit biased for Tobago. You know, I think that is a clean sweep for us here where that airport is concerned. And I really am proud of what we have. Have you seen photos of the airport at sunsets?
No,
it's so beautiful. It really is beautiful and amazing. My only concern though is in terms of the traffic, you know, where the airport is located, in terms of the traffic getting in and out of the airport. I'm wondering if they're going to turn that road into a one-way. I don't know how they're going to manage the traffic there. I suppose the powers that be and the engineers and all the bright people who have all the degrees and who have studied, they will figure out how they're going to manage the traffic in that area once the airport is operational, because I'm telling you, getting there on Saturday, it was a serious bottleneck. And so I'm hoping that something, of course, that is in consideration as well before the opening for operations at the airport as well. Staying with the airport, because I mean, a lot of things happened on Saturday down there, you know.
Yes.
A lot of things happened. And of course, we have to talk about the things that happened. Of course, our Tobago girl, Shamfa Kojo Lewis, MP for Tobago West, she gave her Tobago spin on, you know, the airport.
Up in air with it.
I know, I mean, standing ovation, of course, representing Tobago. And you know what I find unique about Miss Kojo Lewis? What I find unique about her is wherever she goes, Tobago goes with her, you know.
So true.
In the house, wherever she speaks, she represents. But on Saturday, I heard Bethel also. Bethel came in the speech there, you know, when she spoke so, you know, fondly of Tobago West, and the fact that this is something really good for the people of Tobago. It really is, and I'm hoping that there will be, we can maximize the opportunities, we can take advantage of the opportunities that come with the airport being established in Tobago. Let's talk about all the small businesses that can be established in there. Let's talk about, you know, all the little kiosks that will make it, you know, usable, user-friendly for passengers, and also open the pockets for us right here on the island of Tobago. And I'm really hoping that the contracts for you know, service in there will be given to Tobagonians.
And it will be really nice too, you know, as you come off that airline and, you know, everybody wants to come to Trinidad and Tobago, or Tobago specifically for a plate of crab and dumpling.
Of course. Well, but that's what we're talking about.
And you receive it right in the airport.
That's right. In as much as, I mean, there must be the international brands as well, because they are international travelers. But there must be something local, a series of things that represent Tobago. You know, so let's see how it's gonna go. I mean, if you all want somebody to be a part of the conversation, I'm volunteering myself, you know, to give ideas in terms of the crab and dumpling, as Biana said, and the Pakru water and all these things that could be, you know, a part of the experience landing in Tobago. And we're seeing here the ministers, the Prime Minister and other ministers of government being given the tour, walking through the airport for the first time. It was such a feeling of pride and, you know, wow and awe and all of these things, you know, and it really was an occasion to celebrate.
And you know, Tobago came out, eh?
Oh yes, let's talk about the Tobago public. They come out, you know. Tobagonians came out in their numbers. I didn't expect to see so many persons present there, and they came out with pride. When each presenter was speaking, you know what stood out to me about the Tobago public on that day? For every single presenter who spoke, people sat and they listened. You know, usually a Tobago crowd would be like, oh gosh, hurry up. You know what we are. Let's be real. Where I was sitting, and I could hear the audience. Everybody was basically listening to what was being said. They gave applause where applause should be. They remained quiet when they should remain quiet, and it was, for me, I found that to be very, very unique, because Tobagonians, they don't tolerate a lot. That's the truth. But it was a good occasion.
Yes.
We're coming back to the speeches. Before the Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, demitted office, giving his presentation about the airport, talking about his feelings, getting the airport established, talking about the missed opportunity with the Sandals, talking about so many different things for the Tobago space, the benefits, the advantages of the Tobago space.
Yes.
And of course, it is no secret to me or to you or to anybody. The public, of course, has their opinion. There were things that were very, very noticeable.
Yes.
Very, very noticeable. You could not have missed it.
True.
And one of the things people were talking about is the fact that the Chief Secretary was not on the program to do a presentation.
And also given an opportunity to speak.
Right. So he was not on the program to speak. Right. So that was noticeable.
Yes.
Also noticeable is that he was there. He was given an invitation and he turned up.
Yes.
Right? He turned up, he showed up, he was sitting there, he took in all the presentations, and he was there from beginning, I believe, till the end. And
some of his administration.
And his administration was there in support. They were all there. Those who came out with him, they stood there, they sat there, and they gave that support. So that's one. Being invited and not being given the opportunity to speak on the program as the head of Tobago. Now, this is the person who holds the highest office in Tobago. So he is equal, if you want to put it on an equal playing field, equal to the Prime Minister. Okay. Because he's the man who runs things in Tobago. Right. He was not given the opportunity. I do not know why, you do not know why. This is something we probably still need to investigate. Right. However, in the social media space, people will have their opinions. Yes. And of course, based on history. The history will show that the relationship between the Prime Minister and the Chief Secretary is not the smoothest. Yes. And so I don't know if that had a role to play in it. We have to look at what the protocol says. Let's look at what the protocol says where that is concerned, to find out if it is acceptable at all that the Chief Secretary was not given the opportunity to be on the program to deliver a presentation. Look at that suit. Let me just pause for a cause. Look at that suit that our Chief Sec is wearing. That's a gorgeous suit, Yes. I like it. I really like it. Kudos to the tailor who made that suit. And also sticking with the protocol. Right. And also the other conversation is about the tours. There were two separate tours of the facility. Yes. The first one accommodating the government ministers, and the second one accommodating the Tobago House of Assembly executive. Right. What does the protocol say about that?
I am not privileged to that information, but what I observed from a post on social media, they were talking about the opening of the hospital at Signal Hill, and at the time, I believe the Prime Minister at the time was Miss Kamala Persad Bissessa, and in the Tobago administration was Mr. Orville London. And what was observed in that picture there is that both had the opportunity to tour the hospital at the same set time, as well as his name was placed on the plaque for the opening as well. So I am not sure if the protocols has changed, or if it is that what is there remains, or if it is because of the political banter between the chief and the outgoing Prime Minister. So I'm not sure as to how to proceed with that.
And that's the thing. What we really need to get to the bottom of is there an established protocol where that is concerned. Because if the established protocol is that the two heads must be a part of the tour and that their names would be on the commemorative plaque, then that should have been adhered to in this instance. It should not be a point where petty politics, can I say that? It should not be an instance where emotions override protocol or feelings override certain things. So we have to get to investigating what is the established protocol and what were the expectations, so that we can have a debate that is fair and unbiased, so that we can understand what should have happened, and if what should have happened is what happened, and if it isn't, why. Because, I mean, you need to be accountable to the people, and we need to understand. And I understand the social media space where everybody has their opinion.
Yes.
And people will have an opinion if they don't have the information.
Yeah.
So what we really need is the information.
protocol. Yeah.
That's correct. We need the facts. We need to know what is happening so that when we can make informed contributions
Yes.
to conversations of this nature. Because this is not something that you want to happen. Let's say, for instance, we build another facility on the island of Tobago, and there's Prime Minister and Chief Secretary again. What are we going to do? Is it that both their names are going to be there? Is the Chief Secretary going to be allowed the opportunity to speak at this point in time, or is it still just going to be the Prime Minister only? So there must be protocols that are established and adhered to.
Yes.
So that is a job for you and I to do, Bianna. We have to do the research there. Let's make the calls to the protocol officers and to see what is happening, what should have happened, and why it did not happen if it should have happened another way.
Yeah.
What are your main takeaways in terms of, you know, the weekend, the airport being established, and, you know, just seeing the people there? What was your main takeaway from all of it?
That Tobago can really become the little greatest island on the planet.
Yes. Yes.
And once we work in unity, that can happen.
That's the thing for me. The thing for me was the unity, the fact that we showed up.
Yes.
Tobago showed up. Look, Mrs. Groom Duke, I didn't even realize she was there. I'm seeing Mrs.
Some
Groom
of the
Duke there.
PNM past executives were
Yes,
most
Mr.
present.
Calendar, Mr. London, I'm seeing them there now. I didn't get a chance to see them on Saturday, but you know, the fact that Tobago showed up.
Yes.
Tobago showed up, even those who are not in favor of each other.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Tobago really showed up. I saw different groups and organizations coming out.
Yes.
Well, of course, the members of the clergy coming out, of course, to contribute.
that
Let's
was a
talk
prayer
about
by
Pastor
Pastor
Frank.
Frank.
Let's talk about Pastor Frank. Pastor Frank was the man for the hour.
Yes.
You know, he really did, and he spoke some really good things there. And you know, it is important at the end of the day for us to stand together in unity. We are
One key
stronger
person
together.
that we're missing is the PDP political leader. I observed as he entered, he did not, you see, because I'm a PDP, he shake everybody's hand.
And that's what
From
it's about.
the PNM administration to the current administration at the THA, he shakes everybody's hand.
Yes, he did. And that is what it's about. That's what politics is about, and I don't get tired of it. But that's what it is about. And still having that, although there is the cross talk,
Yes.
still having that measure of respect displayed in public spaces. And that is what we want to see across the board, you know, across the board. And there are so many things that we could still talk about this morning, where the weekend is concerned, but I mean, we will need a whole hour. We will need to take over the whole show to do that. Unfortunately, we can't do that this morning, but there's so much more to talk about. I suppose tomorrow when we come back, you know, we'll bring up other items on the from on the agenda that we can pinpoint. But what I noticed, what stood out for me is the fact that we came together. We came together, if even for just a couple hours. Tobago came together, and I believe that if we continue doing this, that we can do great exploits for the island of Tobago. And my final thing is, I really do hope that Tobago benefits from the establishment of this airport. And one more thing, I'm trying to remember who spoke about this. I think it's Martin George. Customer service.
When you took the word out of my mouth, because I was going to say, our word for tomorrow is customer service and respect. Words for tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, this is something, if we have a facility of this standard, we need to sell it. We need to sell it really good.
Yes.
And I am hoping that there can be some type of policy conversation where customer service is concerned. I think in some other countries, if not Barbados or some other Caribbean countries, islands, there are policies governing customer service that you must have a type of international standard where there is domestic customer service and international customer service must be employed. So I'm hoping that we can have that type of conversation, and that we can, of course, hand in hand with what we have established, and of course, invite more investment here on the island of Tobago for all of us to enjoy this generation and for generations to come.
Yes.
All right, Bianna, thank you so much for joining me and set this morning and going through all that happened over the weekend. I do hope that you have an amazing day today, and I'll see you again tomorrow.
Same to you.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the morning where we celebrate with those who are celebrating. It's time for our birthday shout-outs. Ooh, and happy birthday this morning. Of course, we say happy birthday to our first birthday celebrant, and this is the fine lady, Mariska Summers. Mariska Summers is celebrating a birthday today, and we say happy birthday to you. We do pray God's blessings upon your life, and we do hope that you have an amazing birthday today. Happy birthday to you. God bless you. Avian Adams is celebrating as well. A happy birthday to you, my dear. I do hope that you have a wonderful birthday today. I pray God's blessings upon your life, and I hope that you have an amazing birthday today. Derek Frank is also celebrating. And Derek, we do hope that you have an amazing day today. We do hope that you enjoy the blessings of God that make rich and add no sorrow to them. And we do hope that this year of celebration is one for the books. So happy birthday to you. And of course, if you are celebrating a birthday, you're celebrating an anniversary, a promotion, a new job, a new car, a new house, a new relationship, you just got married, you had a baby, your child is going off to college, whatever you are celebrating, we here at Tobago Updates Television, we take the time to join in the celebration with you and remind you to put God first, because He is the sole reason why there's even anything to celebrate. All right, so you might be wondering, who are we speaking with this morning? And we start off the conversation by speaking with Mr. Curtis Williams. He's the president of the Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce. And of course, we have to be talking about the new airport. So we're talking about the effects on the Tobago economy where the new airport is concerned, as well as, if you haven't heard, you're going to hear this morning about the UK visa repercussions on the business community here in Tobago. Of course, as we are aware, a couple of days ago, the High Commissioner of UK to Trinidad and Tobago issued a statement stating that there will be an imposition of visa requirements for persons traveling to the United Kingdom from Trinidad and Tobago. So we're going to go through that a little bit this morning and see how it impacts your life, my life, and the lives of those of us who reside right here on the island of Tobago. So we do hope that you could stay with us throughout the conversation this morning. Our Facebook live stream on our YouTube channel on AMPLIA 102 or on floor 121 or 130. We do hope that you could stay with us, whether you're right here in Tobago, in Trinidad, the Caribbean region, the United States of America, wherever you are. We do hope that you stay with us throughout the very end. Coming up next, as I told you, is Mr. Curtis Williams. He is up next. He's in studio and ready to have the conversation with you this morning. But before we get there, we have to go for a short break and pay some bills. So please help us to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. Of course, in studio, our next guest is here, but before we get into that conversation, I just have some news for you from the Airport Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. They will be conducting a full-scale emergency exercise on Monday, 17th March from 10 a.m. to 12 noon at the A&R Robinson International Airport. The public is advised that there will be an interruption in vehicular traffic to and from the airport. The traveling public is asked to communicate with their respective airlines to confirm flight times during this period. We thank you for your support as we continue to maintain the highest level of safety and security at our airports for the benefit of all our stakeholders. And that message was coming to you from the Airport Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. So please be on the lookout. Contact your airline to ensure your flight times. The exercise takes place from 10 a.m. to 12 noon today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for staying with us. We begin conversations this morning in studio, and we start off by speaking with Mr. Curtis Williams. He is the president of the Tobago Chamber of the Industry and Commerce. We're talking about the effects of on the Tobago economy with the arrival of the new international airports. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, and welcome to your viewers and listeners on Tobago Updates. It's a pleasure being here.
Right, a pleasure having you here. And you know, of course, when we have a member of the business chamber, we have to talk about how are things, decisions made in the Tobago space going to impact the business community here on the island of Tobago. What is our economy saying? How is our economy going to respond to it? And the benefits, of course, to the average man here on the island of Tobago. So we have a brand spanking new airport. International standards. The praises were very high. Coming Saturday, as we were mentioned earlier, all of Tobago came out. Probably 60,000 persons were there. I don't know. There were so many persons there, of course, celebrating the fact that the airport is now well, not operational yet. We're going to be operational, we were told, hopefully by the end of July. Correct. But the practical completion is done, and so we have to bring it up to operations now. And we're talking about the Tobago economy. What does this mean for the Tobago economy so that the average man can understand where we are, where this is concerned?
Well, it meant a lot for us in Tobago. We welcomed the new terminal building. If we can go back in history, where our airport was a banana tree or something with a picket fence around, and the ladies used to be in the center selling sweets. And I remember going down there, and that was the airport. Then we moved to where we are in Tobago today, and then we had some challenges there. We had a waving gallery at one time on top, and then we had birds used to give you a welcome in when you're coming there. So the birds used to give all the drop-ins when you're going on your check-in areas, so forth. So now today we have a new terminal building, and we are much pleased with it. There are times in the past when I used to work at the airport, the tourists used to be on the ramp because we couldn't accommodate them inside when the two jets landed. When I was there with Virgin Atlantic, when the jets landed, BA and Virgin, all the guests used to be on the tarmac. If rain falling, then it used to be a bit challenging. So thank God now we have a new terminal building, and we do appreciate it. We hope that it become operationalized very, very soon. Now, the thing is that it's better you put the cart before the horse, but having a new terminal building now, we need to fill this building. We need to have airlift coming into the country. With airlift coming into the country, we need to put these people in beds. We need to have accommodation. And then we have to revise this whole tourism. We had to look at closely as what we really want in Tobago and how we want it to be delivered. And I think some things is just not happening as it should. The development of the people to understand what tourism is all about and to start training them towards that, because it's not just having a brand new airport. That's just the beginning. No plans to put the people in, getting the plans and them staffed out, and training had to be taking place. So folks need to be trained at those levels, which is international levels. Accommodation and hotels, we need the space. The type of properties we have on the island now are just probably 1 star. And guests is not coming here for a 1-star experience, no way. And so we need to sit back now, both the THA and the central government, sit down and have serious conversation as to how we really want to move the tourism plant in Tobago. The business community is there to embrace them, but we see some of the challenges going forward. Because when we have all these hotels, where the farmers, where the fisher folk, where are we going to get all the produce, where are we going to get the people? And these things are not working simultaneously as the airport terminal building was going on. So now someone put the cart before the horse, as you can see. So now we need to work on those things that need to be.
And that was going to be my next question to you in terms of how are we going to maximize the opportunity? What do we have in place? As you rightfully said, we have the airport, but there are so many other things that would contribute to making the airport make sense. Can I say that? Because, even in the delivery of the presentations on Saturday, you were hearing that up to 3 million people will be able to come into the airports. What do we do with them?
That's correct.
What do we do with them? In terms of feeding them, as you rightfully said, my primary thing is our service to people. How do we develop the brand what is the brand Tobago? Is there a conversation in terms of what is the Tobago brand and how do we sell it? How do we market it? And how do we ensure that when people come to Tobago, they experience the brand? Is any conversation taking place where that is concerned?
And that's one of our main concerns. Putting the parts together, the hotel school, the people understanding what tourism is all about, the welcoming, because the vacation starts from your home country coming in. You reach to the airport and you have a great building. What about the people in the building? We have a nice building, but the people haven't changed their attitude. So when you get into the building now, you put your bag there. And that's the kind of culture you get. And if we don't start training our people, the people first, to accept the fact that Tobago is going tourism, and these are the things need to put in place. The hotel school need to kind of redefine the people's minds and they understand what tourism is all about. It's everybody business. And if we think it is just them alone, or he or she alone, then we lost. We lost from the minute we even started. We totally lost. So tourism is a different creature. One bad experience could spoil the entire experience. And that's why it's important that we understand all aspects of tourism. The infrastructure, you bring the tourists across the island and the road have 10,000 potholes in it. You can't move from point A to point B because the infrastructure is not in place. Someone gets sick, how are we going to treat with them? All right? And we have to look at, listen to me, it's a holistic approach when dealing with tourism. Even when these things do happen, now we have a disaster drill going on. All of that's supposed to be in the place, because if something do happen in one of these large body aircraft landed at our new terminal building, what do we do? The people equipped to treat with the emergency? Is the island equipped to treat with the emergency? Is our system, have we could handle that? And we did numerous drills when I was with Virgin Atlantic, and the island is not ready to treat with it. I can tell you the offset. Today, emergency going to be a desktop plan, and I can tell you our island is not ready. So when we're talking about tourism, we should be speaking about a holistic approach to tourism, and not Trinidad want to do one part and Tobago doing the next part and this next one doing the next part. We go to trade shows and we see Caribbean Airline in a corner. We see the travel agency in Trinidad in the next corner, and Tobago, they're trying to do the thing. No, we all have to come together to make this thing work. And if we're not coming together, it won't work. I was surprised to see at the opening of the airport, and I may be biased in saying this, but we in Tobago, and I didn't see a presence of Tobago House of Assembly somewhere on the program. Just to say something, greetings from Tobago Tourism Department or something about Tobago. I feel bad about that because governance structure in Tobago is to the THA, and I expect the THA to say something on that lovely program. I saw all kind of folks saying things, but again, at the end of the day, they all fly back and gone back to Trinidad. We here know how to treat with it now. And I think that the THE should have been saying something about it. Whether it's remarks and something at all, I think something has been left out. I think it was an oversight on protocol. I just want to believe so. And I hope they could send an apology and bring the THE and let the THE say something on it.
It's funny that you should mention that we did speak about that in our banter this morning. We also identified some of those areas in terms of the opening. I want to go back a little bit to the tourism product in terms of Tobago being ready to accept the measure of tourists that the airport is supposed to attract without the other attractions in terms of the 5-star hotels, 5-star accommodations, and medical facilities and stuff like that for a person who is coming in. The tourists, before they decide to come to Tobago, Tobago? Is it based on your experience and your knowledge in this industry? Can you say that a tourist, before they decide to go to a country, they might do some research, or is like, somebody said, I went to Tobago and I had a real good experience. I jump in on a flight and I go into Tobago. What do you think the tourist preparation in terms of traveling to a destination is like? And do you feel as if there's enough information for them to determine, okay, Tobago seems like a place I can go to?
Well, most tourists will definitely research on the island before. Some of them choose to destination management companies who will take care of their travel and all their experience on the island. There's not much destination management company in Tobago. There are probably 2 or 3. If so much, I knew we were having some challenges with getting them in place. But those companies are important to manage groups and segment of parties that may be coming to the island. Tourism brings a lot of things. I don't know why some folks don't understand. It brings happiness, it brings sadness. Tourists come to an island for different experience. Some of us may go there for sand, sea, and other things, and some will come for other things. And you have to understand that. When you go into Las Vegas, the tourist goes there for gambling. When you go to Jamaica, the tourist goes there for A, B, C, D, you name it. Right? So it's not only what we think tourists comes to an island for. So we had to be prepared for that. Our institutions have to be prepared for it, whether it's the police, the law enforcement. These are things that tourists bring to your island. The health people have to be prepared for it. And again, it's a holistic approach. And I think that the conversation now is supposed to be started with everyone as to how we start to work out coming from that experience, coming to Tobago. Whether you're going on the website and choosing Tobago, what we branding, what are the experiences you want, the tours, the historical points, all these supposed to be gathered and tabled in a nice format so that the guests could have an exciting experience coming here.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask, in terms of the airports being presented as, completed, practical completion, with the operational dates being sometime in July, do you believe that the new airport is enough for a boost of tourism in Tobago?
Well, it's a game changer, but if not thought out properly, we could have a white elephant. Right? We could definitely have a white elephant with 2 or 3 international flights weekly. Weekly? No way, that ain't gonna cut it. Right? We've seen what Barbados giving daily. You have 14 flights. But we having 2 or 3 international flights weekly, that won't cut it. That airport is going to cost a lot. You can see the maintenance on that airport. I look at it. It's a huge building. The maintenance will be millions of dollars per month. And who's going to be footing that bill? So then the concessionaries will be going into the space. If there's no traffic moving through the space, then when you run your business model, it won't make any sense. Right? So the domestic part of it, fine. What about the international part? Those who selling duty-frees and all that other items on top, they won't make any sense. So hence the reason why it's important that everything works, all the parts works together. We see on the Airport Authority website, they were advertising RFPs for folks to come in and do that. It's a detailed thing to get into the airport. It's not just when I say, I want to sell in the airport. No, it's a whole detailed plan you have to fill out, from insurances, from the whole thing, from financials, you name it. That's working in an international airport. Our people, are we ready for that? Are we helping small business to get in there? Even the suites and all, they have to fill out the forms. They have to do everything. The car rental guys and them who used to come together. No longer can you do that. You can't be by no door. You need a car? No, it don't work like that no more. So we got to understand the new space we are in and work towards that, achieving something from it.
Mm-hmm. And do you think the measure of support in terms of the readiness for the people, the users, the stakeholders of the airport, do you think that support, based on your investigations, research, or observations, do you think that support is there? Are they providing the training, the measure of, okay, let me explain to you, how do you access the forms, the information? How do you bring your business to a place of readiness? How do you present yourself as being somebody who can represent Tobago when a tourist comes in? You run a taxi service. Is this a service that's, can stand the test of time? The tourists that will come from Germany, that will come from Croatia, that will come from wherever they are coming from. How do you think that measure of support is there in terms of readying our people for the income of those visitors?
No, we wrote the airport authority asking about it, and I think yesterday I got some feedback that they are willing to have some conversation with us. But I don't understand we're putting the cart before the horse. We should already be in some state of readiness. We should have the Tobago, the local people, getting these forms all filled out, getting their mindset, understanding how much cash flow they have to get, and so forth. Because again, the booths in the airport are not cheap. They are not cheap, so you need to have some sort of cash flow. If we don't, you know what's going to happen? It will be Tobago none less operating these booths. They will be all brand names from Trinidad, and they just have a face of a Tobago inside our booth that is a brand name from Trinidad. Why we can't have our own brand? Why we can't develop our own coffee brand here instead of bringing Starbucks or any other brand? And these are the things that we're talking about. Will the local get the opportunity to enjoy the spills of the Tobago terminal building? So far, no.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking with Mr. Curtis Williams, President of the Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce. We're talking about the effects and the impact of the Tobago economy with the introduction of the new international airport, the ANR International Airport, that was recently commissioned as being practically open here on the island of Tobago. We have to go for a short break, but we will continue conversations when we return. And as we go, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Tobago, let your voices be heard. The Tobago Special Needs School Committee is inviting you to a series of public consultations on Monday, March 17th, 2025 at the Signal Hill Secondary School and Wednesday, March 19th, 2025 at the Goodwood Secondary School from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Come and dialogue with us as we aim to build a brighter future for Tobago's special needs community. For further details, follow the Facebook page of the Division of Education, Research and Technology.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With AMPLIA TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with AMPLIA's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 gigabyte fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With AMPLIA, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. AMPLIA. Do more, live more.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49SWIFT 4979438.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. We're just about 7:53 a.m. so if you're getting yourself to work for 8 a.m. you might already be late. That's no reason for you to rush. Remember to drive safely on our nation's roads so that you get to work safely. Even if you're a couple minutes late, you're going to pay for that some other way, not with your life. Be safe on our nation's roads. We continue conversations this morning in studio. We stay with Mr. Curtis Williams, who is the president of the Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce. And we switch gears a little bit this morning. We head on over to the conversation about the UK visa repercussions on the business community. You must be aware that quite recently there was a statement issued that nationals from Trinidad and Tobago will now require a visa to travel to the United Kingdom, whereas before all you needed was your passport and I think the ETA, what's the name of the form, to get there. But now here we are talking about a visa, and we looked at the fees for these visa. Mr. Williams, in terms of the business community in Trinidad and Tobago, and I know a lot of persons are talking about, oh my God, I can't pay that to go out there. And I think last Friday we were speaking, just briefly, the Secretary of Tourism was mentioning the fact that we also have to consider the inbound, the persons who will be coming in transit, the persons who have to, from Trinidad and Tobago, using the facility. How does it impact our local tourism here? Because for the average person, you're just thinking is outbound. I just need a visa to go out there. How does it impact persons passing through Tobago, having to go to the United Kingdom? Is it that flights will no longer... How does that work in terms of ensuring that Tobago... I'm talking about the impact of the community here in Tobago.
Well, definitely. When I got that news of the visa restriction, I was in awe. I couldn't believe it. Our fellow UK, we're part of the Commonwealth. We look up to the UK for everything. Our final court is the Privy Council. We've seen everything is the UK. When I look at our customs or everything we do, we dress like the UK. We do everything nearly like the UK. And suddenly you're telling us today now, hey, we're no longer your friend. We're not looking friendly. You have to get a visa to come here. I feel that it's unwarranted. And when I asked for the explanation, they did send me a bulletin with, there were some folks who going across seeking asylum. And I said, wow, how much people seeking asylum to make you make a decision of this nature? Not only that, there ought to be a relationship between the UK and the TT government. I really need to see the High Commissioner, because we normally meet these guys and we have conversation with them about business and so forth. And in none of my conversation, it was never mentioned to me that a lot of Trinidad and Tobagonians were seeking asylum in the UK. So I want to know what was happening with our foreign ministry. And our ambassador here, was he not saying something to us? They give us a hint to tell us, well, if you see something is coming up.
Exactly, there should be some type of warning, because it felt as if it just came out of thin air.
That's correct. And I asked myself, what kind of relationship we have with the UK, that if I see you throwing rubbish in my backyard, I will tell you, hey, your garbage is going in my backyard. Please, can you do something about it? And then I probably give you 2 warnings, and then after then you take the necessary action. So I don't know what was happening there with our foreign ministry. Something just not adding up. Really not adding up. And I know it's going to affect us. It affects the business community. It affects the country on the whole. You can imagine you're transiting, going to Sweden or elsewhere, and you have to transit through the UK, because most of the gateways are through the UK, where they're going to Heathrow. So you travel to Gatwick, and then you take the express and you go across, or the train and go across to Heathrow, and you move to the next island or country that you want to go to. And because not everybody will go to because again now you either have to have a UK visa now or a US visa. Because if you had to go through the US now, you will have to go through LA or one of these major airports to go across. So you see the challenges they're given to Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago. We are part of the Commonwealth. The Queen face was on our dollar at one time. So look at where we are today. Look at where we are today, that you now need a visa to go to the UK.
And it's funny you should bring in the fact that the Queen's face was on our dollar. In social media spaces, I saw persons commenting on the fact that the economy of the United Kingdom and these western parts of the world were built on the backs of people from where we are.
No, I'm going to give you a classic example of that. Do you know that under the age of 25, you could have gone into the UK military? Yes, we could have drafted any. And when I was 19, that was one of my options I had. I worked with him in the service, and I worked with HMS Avenger. They were in Trinidad and Tobago. And they gave me the opportunity to come and work in the UK and become a citizen of the UK. But I have a visa. What really happening in this space? Something's just not adding up, and I need someone to tell us the truth, tell us what really happening, because few guys going up there and seeking asylum saying some all kind of crap and the country and war and crime, and I don't think that cut it. That is
Yes,
not
because
cut it at all.
the report I saw is that in the past couple of years, it was like about 45 persons, and now it's about 453 persons. But when you look at the population of the United Kingdom, when you look at all the other persons who come into the United Kingdom, seeking asylum or otherwise, 453 persons out of 1.4 million people. I mean, is that enough to motivate that type of decision?
That's
and
correct.
you rightfully said there must be something in the mortar more than the pestle.
Correct.
And so, I mean, I feel as if a conversation needs to be had, and I know that they said that there was a conversation after the announcement to review the process. They said that the process is going to be under review, but how soon is the process going to be under review, and what exactly is going to be reviewed? You know, because I don't feel as if, I could be wrong, I don't have the facts, but getting to the stage of saying I fed up and all, you just had to get a visa to come here without any prior warning, unless there was a warning that we were not aware of.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. They ought to have conversation, because we in the business community, we do have conversation. The U.S. Embassy, we do have UK High Commissioner. We even have a local rep here, Mr. Moore said. He's the local rep for the UK High Commissioner office. And you must understand that these folks have conversation. It don't happen overnight. And if the numbers was increasing, so yeah, 1 year we increased to 100 and something, I don't think it's just within 1 year, we just get 400 people run into the UK and say, seeking asylum. And we used to have the program called the Work Study Visa Program. I know many folks went on that program, and today they're welcome. I mean, trust me, they're professionals in the UK working today, coming out of that. I study in the UK, and I know, so I don't understand why my lovely UK government decide to impose that on Trinidad and Tobago. I think it's something that they need to look at and review it as soon as possible, because it's not doing good for us here. It definitely will not do good for us. It will affect the business community. It will affect the community on the whole. Paying more for the visa, and again, traveling to the UK for court, and because the highest court of the land is the Privy Council.
That's right.
And you need to travel at times. The attorney and other legal practitioners need to travel, and imposing a visa restriction. If you understand what a visa restriction is all about, trust me, it's not a nice thing. It's really, really not a nice thing. Not anybody could apply.
That's right.
And then even if you apply and have your visa, you land in the country, we could revoke that said visa immediately as soon as you land.
That's correct.
Right? So it's going to be really, really detrimental on the business community. We will feel the effect of it, and we're hoping by the next couple of months or so that some talk or conversation could happen between the two entities. If they want the business community to come along, we will come along and express our feelings and our thoughts about it, and we could give them a holistic approach as to how to treat with it, dealing with this level of, these folks seeking asylum.
A very, very important conversation must continue. Details must be brought to light, and of course, things must be put in place, because, I mean, as I said, it's like pulling the rug from under your feet, being unprepared, and of course, with immediate effect. It's not like if you have a 6-month period, it almost immediate that this takes effect from. In closing, is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers in terms of what they need to be paying attention to and the types of conversations we need to be having in the Tobago space?
Well, we have the game changers we all spoke about, which is the airport now, and I think that it's high time now. The Prime Minister spoke about unity. It's high time now somebody get off their high horse, and Tobago and Trinidad have some serious conversation going ahead as to what we really want in Tobago and how we can achieve it. We know everybody right now in the political space now because it's election time, but we still have to concern about the people. We still have to live, right? Whether red, blue color, pink, whatever color, we all have to live in this space and survive in this space. And we believe on conversation, having conversation and meaning conversation, right? And that's how we push for what we need in Tobago. Today is my last day of service in the chamber. My office in the Tobago division ends today. Tomorrow, actually. We have elections tomorrow, and we will have a new executive. And I keep my fingers crossed if I will retain my chairmanship. But we will have a new executive coming up from tomorrow. Definitely at 5 o'clock we'll have our election, and where we'll install a new executive. There were some things that I had liked to get on the program going forward. One was one of our AI conference coming up. It's a real interesting conference, and I think it's free. and listen out and go on our website, tobagochamber.org, and you will see some information on our AI conference coming up. It's free. Anyone interested in learning about AI, understanding how AI could affect business, please come to that conference and you'll see what's going on with it. And I just want to say thanks to the Tobago population for supporting us at the Chamber. And we hope that we could get your support going forward to once I'm installed again in our new executive going forward.
Of course, and we do wish you the very best with the elections there, and we do hope, for a seamless and smooth situation going on there. All the best. Thank you so much for your service, and we'll see what will happen after tomorrow for the election. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for staying with us throughout the entire program this morning. But this is where we have to end the morning show on Tobago Updates Television, but it's not where we end our programming. We head on over to GMT, and you want to be a part of that conversation as well, so do stay with us. And as you stay with us, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Exist in a world where there's a glass ceiling for women. Women reach great heights, but they are scrutinized in the way in which they do it. To exist in a world as one as this one where it's patriarchal, I feel like I have something to prove, and every day I wake up and I try to prove that. I try to exist to be the best version of myself. The vision that I have for my life is that I want to be a woman of service. I want to give myself back to Trinidad and Tobago and be the best that I can be, and that's what it means to be a woman. I'd also like to give a special thanks to my mom. She's a lawyer, and I want to study law and become a lawyer. Well, start off as a lawyer and give myself to the best of my country and be a female. I want to be able to give young females such as myself something to look forward to. So that's why I say it means to be a woman, to be powerful, to be strong, to be yourself, to be poised, to be elegant.
I am empowered as a woman because we stand on the shoulders of such excellent women in Trinidad and Tobago. I know that I could stand up and be authentically myself and not have to worry about what somebody says about me, because we have moved so far in the empowerment, the development, the advocacy, and all of these things. So I am empowered in knowing I could do whatever I want to do as a young woman. And I just want to encourage other young women to follow that step and know that you can do whatever you want to do, and you have backing, you have a sisterhood, you have a community, and that is what I have to say for International Women's Day.
She is a mother. She is a daughter. She is a wife. She is a sister. She is your best friend. She is a woman. So many roles, so much work, yet she never complains. Yes, that's the power of a woman. As the world recently celebrated International Women's Day, an empowerment symposium was held hosted by girls of Impact TNT in partnership with the YES program under the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, where young women from the secondary schools on the island participated. These young women had the opportunity to interact with some esteemed women in the Tobago space as they imparted knowledge in various areas of self-confidence, physical and mental well-being, goal setting, and financial independence. And the female students did not hesitate to share their views on International Women's Day, as well as women who they admire.
I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be here today. For me, what makes me feel empowered as being a woman is that we wake up every day and we have role models such as our moms, our grandmothers, the women that came before us, that's our previous path, so that we can have the opportunities that we have for today. Just to be here is very empowering. To see so many successful women come and have a panel before us so that we can obtain some of their information and knowledge, it's amazing.
Being a woman means that you have to be proud of being a woman, and you have to represent yourself proudly and present yourself in a certain way where people could say, well, not to like satisfy anybody, but to be independent. And this whole institution means to me that you could exceed and understand and to influence other girls to be a proud woman or a proud young girl.
International Women's Day is a day that I look forward to every year. It reminds me that being a woman, a young lady in society is very important. It allows me to get to know my roots and get to know the people the powerful women that have come before me. Being a woman basically allows me to remember that I am important. I am someone that is brave and someone that can be important in society and contribute to everyone and all the younger children that may come after me. So I would like to say that International Women's Day is a day that every young woman should look forward to, should strive towards, and remember always that they are important. They can be something in life no matter what.
I'm classic, I'm modern, I live by my own design.
International Women's Day is celebrated on March 8th annually.
I'm based on the beat of my own drum. I can make it 'cause I'm raised.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Chanel Felix. And you know, whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. This morning, we are obviously continuing our discussions on that new airport terminal at the A.N.R. Robinson International Airport. And as we do so this morning, I have the privilege of speaking to a man who made an address at that practical opening ceremony on Saturday, one that many sit and they remember, and one that was well spoken about. This morning we are chatting with Martin George, who is the chairman of the Tobago Business Chamber. Good morning and welcome.
Hi, good morning to you, Chanel, and good morning to all your viewers on Tobago Updates, and good morning, Tobago.
Morning. Now, you gave a some memorable remarks on Saturday in regards to what this new airport means for Tobago and how important adding new room stock is to the island's tourism development. Good morning again, and so tell us a bit about that.
Yes, the thing is, I mean, as I said, the airport is just a first step because, I mean, it's a wonderful facility. We were able to tour the entire building and stuff like that, and it is amazing. Really, really is. It is a world-class, first-class facility that can stand toe-to-toe with any other in any part of the world. So, you know, I mean, it's something that you can really feel proud of as a terminal. I mean, you compare that to Piaco, it is chalk and cheese. Seriously, Piaco, I mean, you don't even want to see Piaco. I'm telling you. You know, so it's something that I think that, I mean, it has so much potential and so much capacity that I think we have to really make sure that we maximize its use and its potential. And therefore, the only way we can do that effectively and efficiently would be if we are able to say to people, hey, listen, let's ensure we have sufficient hotel room stock in Tobago, because clearly we don't, you know, I mean, let's be realistic. We don't have enough hotel rooms to attract the thousands of visitors who will be able to make use of that type of airport facility. So therefore, we must increase our hotel room stock. We must ensure that we get back the large flights coming to Tobago. Look at what happened with St. Vincent. Since they got their, large resort, the Sandals brand in their island, listen, St. Lucia is laughing all the way to the bank. You know, I mean, a friend of mine showed me a picture with several large airlines on the ground at one time in St. Vincent, and he said it's all due to them having that land name hotel. So, I mean, we have to be realistic. And I mean, we're not at all saying that, you know, we have no place for the small operators, the small guest houses, the mom and pop operations where you will have somebody with, you know, a couple of rooms to rent for Airbnb. Sure, that's all part of your mix because you need a mix of product to be able to offer to visitors. But in order to attract the large airlines and to ensure that you have proper use and value for this type of airport facility, you definitely need to get some large brand name hotels into Tobago.
Excellent. And so we heard the Prime Minister saying in his address that he has invited Sandals to come back to the negotiating table and that the new Prime Minister, the Honorable Stuart Young, would be leading that discussion. And he invited the Chief Secretary as well as Assemblyman Watson Duke into that discourse. Where would you like to see that discussion go? And do you have any advice for them going into those negotiations?
Well, the thing is, I mean, let me tell you, I mean, I had the privilege of being able to be privy to some of the details of what Sandals had planned for Tobago. And they had planned it such that they were planning a large, you know, facility such that they were able to say, look, this would be the best Sandals ever. You know, so they were planning it such that they were going to do the overwater villas, they were going to do everything. And I remember it was going to be 2 hotels, the Sandals, which is the adults only, and then the Beaches, which is the entire family. So, you know, I mean, you're talking about 2 massive resorts. And let me tell you, once you have facilities like that, you don't even have to worry about flights because they bring their flights with them. You know, so the airlines, once they know there's a Sandals on your island, they are going to start coming. So therefore, that's why it dovetails nicely with the airport. And you are able to now say, hey, listen, this facility definitely has, you know, been put to good use and has lived up to its potential.
Understood. And so we have approximately 3 to 6 months before the airport is fully functional back and up and running. What advice do you have for Tobagonians as it relates to being prepared for this opening?
Okay, so like for instance, during the tour, I was amazed at the amount of space allocated for concessionaires. So it seems that there is a tremendous opportunity for concessionaires. But of course, that would only make sense if we get the volume of passengers passing through. But if it is that we reach to a point where you really have those volumes, let me tell you, those concessionaires, you can really maximize the use of this facility. It means also that we have to step up our game, because remember now, you are talking about a scenario where you are in a world-class international airport terminal. So you think in terms of, you landing at Miami International, you see how their terminal is. You think of landing at Fort Lauderdale International. You think of landing, say, for instance, in Dubai. You have to start thinking international in your outlook. The reason why I'm saying that, okay, let me give you an example. A few years ago, while I was in Thailand, I was able to see things like bene balls, tamarind balls, pawpaw balls. They prepared them and made them in nice, small, neat, round sizes and shapes. And they package them in some nice, clear, hard plastic containers, where, so they wouldn't get crushed or squeezed. You open it and you could scoop up like about 3, 4, 5 of them. And listen, man, I was popping these things like Skittles, even the little bene balls, they made them so, it was so easy to eat them. It was so user friendly. Now, there's nothing wrong with the, big hard jawbreaker bene balls, but we have to understand not everybody could manage with that. And even your packaging and presentation, you need to step up the game. If you understand me, you can't just be tying them in a little old plastic bag and saying, hey, if you understand me, because you are now in an international world-class facility where presentation matters, packaging matters, if you understand me. Right? So
I'm glad that you brought up the idea of them increasing the quality of not just the production, but the packaging as well as the appeal
and presentation.
Right.
Yes.
But I
have
know
to understand that.
as it pertains to the RFP for those local suites and concessionaires, those individuals have the ability to create the space that they want. And to be more competitive, they have to present proposals for how they are going to package those goods and things like that. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So for the persons who are interested in, securing one of those booths in the international airport, that is a huge part of the application process to, be able to sell.
Right.
How are you going to improve the space? How are you going to make it user friendly, but also reflective of an authentic Tobago identity, and that has a lot to do with the quality and packaging as well.
And so we need to understand we can have both. So I'm not at all saying don't have the benefit. I want them to be there, but we have to understand that there must be some kind of modification in your packaging, presentation, etc. We just have to make that evolution, so to speak.
All right, excellent. I'm glad that you brought that up. And even as it pertains to the airport, I've heard comments on all sides. I heard someone saying one thing that they did not like about the new airport and how it is structured is the fact that when you walk in, there are those desks. Sorry, I forgot what you call the check-in. Right, you have the check-in counters. But you have to go through security.
Yeah, but you also have the automatic scanning terminals, yes.
Sorry?
The automatic self-check-in kiosks.
Right, yes. The check-in counters.
Is that what you were speaking of?
Yeah, the check, definitely. And then you have to go into security. But you have to have a boarding pass before you get into security and then being able to access some of those concessionaires. There are the persons who are of the opinion that there should be concessionaires even before you get to security clearance, so that persons are able to just walk in the airport and patronize a number of the businesses.
I think it's because of where the concessionaire area is located. And I'll tell you why, right? Because of the fact that I actually did the full tour, right? Where the concessionaire area is located, the put it between the local gates, domestic gate, and the international gates. So I think you therefore have to have some sort of security clearance. And I'll tell you, even the concessionaires, they themselves and all their assistants and helpers and everybody will need to have security clearance in order to even access their booths, because of where it's located. So what they try to do is to serve both the local domestic flights and the international flights. But yes, you're quite correct. Where it is located there, you are not able to have persons coming, just dropping by the airport and saying, hey, listen, I want to buy some Beneballs or I want to buy some sugar cake, that kind of thing. No, it doesn't allow that. You really have to have a boarding pass and pass through security, whether domestic or international security checks.
Do you think that leaves Tobagonians at a disadvantage in that when you look at Piaco, it's easy to just pull up there, go run in, maybe get a Starbucks coffee or...
Right, let me explain. What I think would be necessary is to create an area, because trust me, they have enough space to be able to do it. You see, like how at Piaco, you have the food court inside where you have the same Starbucks and all these others inside the airport. But then remember, outside, if you walk down to the western end of the airport, past the car rentals and stuff like that, and you walk outside, you have the local food court where you could get your doubles, your sahina, your aloo pie, your this, that, the other. You get all your local stuff there, right outside, so the point is, who want to just come and purchase, they just go straight there. So it's the same kind of idea that I think could be implemented, and I would definitely put as a suggestion, because I did not hear it mentioned, but I'm in touch with Mr. Herbert George from NIDCO, and I will tell him that that's a suggestion that people are asking about.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad that suggestion could be made from your platform, Mr. George. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back and we'll chat a bit about that UK visa entry requirement. So see you soon.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Chanel Felix. This morning I have been chatting with the Tobago Business Chamber Chairman, Mr. Martin George. But before we get back into that conversation, the Airport Authority of Trinidad and Tobago will be conducting a full-scale exercise on Monday, the 17th of March from 10 a.m. to 12 noon at the A&R Robinson International Airport. The public is being advised that there will be an interruption in vehicular traffic to and from the airport. The traveling public is asked to communicate with their respective airlines to confirm flight times during this period. We thank you for your support as well as as we continue to maintain the highest level of safety and security at our airport for the benefit of all stakeholders. Guys, that's a notification for you or anyone that you know is traveling this morning to or through the A&R Robinson International Airport. Make sure you let them know that there would be some traffic interruptions happening there. Guys, this morning we are chatting with Attorney Martin George. Good morning and welcome back.
Yes, hi, morning.
Right. And so we chatted a bit about that new airport ceremony. And I mean, there's a lot that we could have unpacked there. But we stick to the fact that this is a great step in the right direction to increase tourism in Tobago. And you would have chatted about the importance of service, room stock, and all of that. But one of the things that have come up recently is the fact that the UK government has imposed visa restrictions on Trinidad and Tobago. Do you see that impacting Tobago's tourism in any way, specifically because we have a number of visitors that often come from that UK to Port of Spain, UK to Tobago route?
I'm not necessarily sure I see the connection because the visa requirement is only for outgoing passengers who from Trinidad and Tobago, who are citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, who are seeking to go to the UK. So they are the ones who have the visa requirement. It has nothing to do with UK visitors coming to Tobago. So I'm not sure I see the connection at all.
Do you think that it would hinder the relationship there? Because we know that we heard the Prime Minister talking about how unfair it is to Tobago in his address yesterday during that PNM meeting at Woodford Square. Do you think that Trinidad and Tobago may be looking at possibly also imposing visa restrictions on the UK as a response?
No, the government could not ever contemplate that. It's never in our interest to seek to do so.
Excellent. And so how do you envision moving forward that the government attempts to deal with this situation?
I think it has to be done by negotiation and quiet diplomacy and lots of backroom meetings and, some horse trading and wrangling, to try and ensure that whatever fears or concerns the British government have, that these concerns are quelled. Because as I said in my immediate reaction to it, I don't understand the proportionality of it in the sense that if you are saying that 439 nationals of Trinidad and Tobago have abused the system, then firstly that tells me then you know who these 439 persons are. Right? Because if you could give me such a specific number, that means you know their names, you probably have their passport numbers, copies of their passport biodata pages, because if they are abusing the system by applying for asylum, all of these things would have to be put forth. In fact, in some cases, I think their passports have to be surrendered. So you even may have their passports. Right? So if it is that some of these persons turn out to be either wanted criminals or whatever, or undesirables, or persons whom you want to refuse the asylum, then my simple solution is just send them back, deport them. Don't blacklist and tarnish the image of the entire country simply because of a few errant people. So that's why I found the reaction to be, unfairly disproportionate and, definitely heavy-handed against Trinidad and Tobago as a nation. And that's why I called for immediate discussions for its urgent review and removal.
Right, and as it pertains to the business community, we heard from the chamber previously. What do you think might be the effect on Tobago businesses specifically who are trading in the UK?
Well, I mean, the thing is, again, I'm not sure I can see necessarily a direct connection because if you are a business person, then of course, yes, if you have to travel to the UK, it's just another hurdle that you have to cross. Now, my point is it's an unnecessary hurdle, and that's why I'm calling for its reversal and removal. But if you are a business person, I mean, of course, yes, the cost is a little bit pricey compared to what we pay for other visas. But if you have to do business, you have to do business. So I can't see any serious business person saying, well, because of this requirement, I can't do business in the UK, or I can't travel to the UK for the purposes of my business.
Excellent. And for you particularly, do you think that this is something that needs to be done away with and dealt with as soon as possible?
Yeah, that was my call. I responded immediately, and I need to start the discussions, open the negotiations, and ensure that this is removed and, immediately dealt with. There's no doubt about that.
How do you think this impacts
it's very unfair, and it's a backward step.
How do you think this impacts the image of Trinidad and Tobago globally?
Well, it's not a good sign, because the point is, if it is that countries are beginning to impose visa restrictions, it basically almost says that, look, y'all are, I don't want to say undesirables, but you are not the most desired. Let's put it nicely. In other words, if you are highly desired, then you will have visa-free entry. That's the simple fact of it. So you look at some of the strongest passports in the world, Singapore, Japan, those rank up there. And the point is, what they're basically telling those people is, hey, y'all are welcome anytime. Because, when you have over 100 countries giving them visa-free entry, so they don't need visas, they could just travel anywhere, that kind of thing, then it says something about how your country is viewed. So therefore, it's never a good sign when you have a large power like the UK now imposing restrictions, visa restrictions on Trinidad and Tobago, where previously there were none.
Right. And I don't know if you were able to listen to the presentation of Dr. Rowley yesterday, but he made some quite strong statements as it relates to the British government. He even suggested that they really do not see us as being equals, regardless of how far past, how far we are in that post-colonial era. Do you have any comments on that?
Well, I imagine, as he's, it's a parting shot, so to speak, by him in that regard. And, of course, he made his very strong views clear. But at the end of the day, it still requires diplomacy. So, it's not a scenario that requires, us to...
We have a bit of a technical difficulty there with our connection with Mr. George, who is the chairman of the Business Chamber. This morning we were chatting a bit about that new airport terminal here in Tobago and a bit about that UK visa restriction that has been imposed on Trinidad and Tobago. Before we close off, I asked him about his view based on Dr. Rowley's comments on the UK government as it pertains to them not seeing us as equals. And them really thinking that they are better than us, in my own words, based off of what Dr. Rowley said yesterday. But guys, we're going to take a quick break right here and we'll be back with much more discussion. So see you soon.
The Tobago Rhythm and Soul Festival. Feel the beat. Embrace the calm. On Easter weekend 2025, Tobago is the place to be. From April 17th to 20th, the rhythm, the soul of Tobago. On Thursday, April 17th, get ready for a worship experience at the Shore Park Complex with Melodies from Heaven. Melodies from Heaven. Then on Saturday, 19th April, immerse yourself in the sun, sea, and sand at the Buku Seafood and Jazz Festival, featuring legends of R&B. On Sunday, 20th April, we bring the curtains down at Parade Grounds, Dwight York Stadium for Fusion. Get your tickets on islandetickets.com now or visit TobagoFestivalsCommission.com for more info. Tobago Rhythm and Soul Festival 2025. Feel the beat. Embrace the calm.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Guys, now we continue our discussions this morning, and we are still talking about that UK visa restriction that has been placed on Trinidad and Tobago. But this morning, just in case you have had plans of traveling to the UK, whether it be, for the summer or for the Christmas period, or if traveling back and forth to England is something that you usually do, you may be needing some visa application assistance. This morning, we are speaking with the owner of Purity Visa Services, Mrs. Jody Melville Nimblett, and we are talking about that visa application to the UK. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. The UK visa process is very tedious. For something that was implemented so quickly, it is very tedious. So let us go to the requirements of the visa. Should I? So you would definitely need an invitation letter from the person in the UK. Yes. You would definitely need an invitation letter.
Now, I've heard about invitation letters before.
Right.
But usually, invitation letters substitute your ability to cover the cost of your trip.
Right.
So are you saying to me that if I just wake up and I'm like, you know what, I just want to go to London for...
Well, then you have to book a hotel.
All right, okay.
You must have the hotel name, address, and telephone.
Okay.
Because they are asking for your accommodation details.
Okay. So
it's
either or.
Either or.
Okay.
But we know that majority of persons that go to the UK have family members. So even if you have been to the UK before, now, because of the new implementation, you would definitely need an invitation letter. And also the person's passport number in the UK. They're also asking you if the person is permanent in the UK. So those are the information that you would need to find out before you even start the application.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Definitely your job letters, your bank statements. You would definitely need a credit card to pay the fees online because it's an online application.
Only.
So you're not seeing a counselor, you know. You have to do this online.
The entire process is online.
The entire process is online. The only thing that is not online is your biometrics. So you would need to take biometrics in Trinidad. And I can also give you the address. It's in number 1 Woodbrook Place. It's the same place, actually, if you've done a Canadian visa before, that you go and you do your biometrics there. All right?
Okay. So this is one of those visas where you mail in or upload all the
Well, you upload all your documents.
All the documents, and there's
all
no
your supported documents.
There's no interview.
There is no interview unless they require one from you. They would email you and tell you where to go if they need further information from you.
Excellent. And even as they ask whether or not someone is permanent or a temporary resident, I guess from your view personally, because you might not know, if you have someone who is probably going to school in the UK who has a temporary resident permit as a family member, I'm guessing you should also be able to visit those persons.
Yes, you can. Once they have the document showing that they have this, yes, you can do that. You can visit them.
Excellent. And let's talk about the prices, because that has been going around on social media. And you hear persons talking about how ridiculous the price is. I mean, even the Prime Minister would have indicated yesterday in his presentation that even the price that they are charging for the UK visa is quite ridiculous.
So I really focus on the standard visitor visa, which is $154 US. So after you completed the application, at the end, it would ask you to pay that fee with a credit card. All right. But what is even more, I find is a bit pricey, is the biometrics, which is $103 US. That is paid separately because that's for the center that they would be using. And then there are extra fees if you don't have someone to upload for you. There's an extra fee at the center in Trinidad where you can pay for them to upload your documentation for you. You can pay for them to do the photos and all of that. So yeah, it's a bit, but we try to work alongside what they give to us. But I'm going to tell you this. This application is so thorough that you cannot go forward unless you have the document or the information to go forward. Yeah?
Yeah, totally understood. But the visa price that you quoted there, that's for the standard, and the standard
that's for the standard. Yes, for 6
Usually, you get a visa, it might be for 5 or 10 years, and you are able to stay 6 months at a time. Right, yes. As it pertains to this UK visa, how much months at a time can a person stay?
6 months.
Right, and what are the different prices? Because I saw online that you can have a visa for 6 months, and then if you want to go again, you have to apply for another visa.
Do you want me to mention the price for that visa, which is 2 years?
For all the visas.
Oh. Actually, because I didn't do the research on the ones for 2 years. Because when I do the dummy application, I more focus on the standard than the one for 2 years, because I know persons are not going to pay that price for the one for 2 years. It's basically close to about 4,000 TT dollars. And that still did not include the biometric fees.
Well, I mean, from what I'm seeing here, it's that that first one that you say is 54 US, but 115 pounds.
Well, yeah.
Right, and then you have one for 2 years, which is 432 pounds.
So when you convert that into US, it would be less, because that is what they're doing. For your credit card to read it, they're converting it in US. So in pounds, it seems big, but when they convert it in US, it's a little less.
Yeah, and then there is the 10-year
I know visa. A lot of Tobagonians.
That's 969 pounds.
I know a lot of Tobagonians would not, unless it's necessary, if you're a student, and as the business person you would have mentioned earlier on, if they're having business in the UK back and forth, they may pay for that, but I know a lot of person would, focus on the standard visa.
Yes, you have the student visas here for £490. I mean, by all means, it's a choice, I guess. But one of the things that I am also interested in knowing is if you are a European, you're a Trinidadian, Trinbagonian by birth, by citizenship, but you probably have residence in another European country. I know that there is the disparity between the UK and Europe after Brexit.
Right.
So I'm wondering if I am, let's say for instance, a Dutch resident, if I'm able with my Trinidad and Tobago passport to just take a train as we usually would do and go over to
They would
London.
ask you for the visa.
So they won't take my resident card from the Netherlands.
I don't think I don't want to say what I don't know. It's
Yeah.
something that I didn't do my homework on, but I know for sure if you have to go anywhere around the London area or whatever, you need that visa.
With your passport
With
from
your
Trinidad and
passport from
Tobago.
Trinidad and Tobago. And your passport must be more than 6 months valid. It
Yeah.
can be less.
Understood.
Yeah.
Right. And so you are providing services that assist
I
persons
do.
in filling out these applications. So can you tell persons how they can reach out to you if they are interested in
Oh, you
in
can
getting this
definitely
done?
reach out to me on Facebook. You can message me on Facebook. You can reach out to me. Well, my number is on Facebook actually. So you can call me or you can WhatsApp me, whichever one is convenient to whomever wants to apply for a UK visa. And I also encourage persons who are doing this visa to make sure and read, because it's a lot to read and a lot to, grasp in this whole UK visa. We have to be very careful of information that we share, because this is some serious business. Even at the end of the application, there is a consent that you have to sign, where even if you have the visa, they can detain you, they can, send you back to your country. So you have to be very careful. You have to be very truthful on the application form. And you have to give the information accurately.
I mean,
So-
not even a Schengen visa is so much.
I don't know.
Like, and you can go to Malaysia, you can go to Dubai.
I know, but a lot of Tobagonians have family in the UK and the US. So,
I mean, with all these restrictions, you would think that the streets of London are paved with gold. But guys, I mean, if this is something that you are still interested in doing, I mean, from my perspective, if you don't have to,
But
and
you
you don't
know,
need to,
I know. I
then
feel
we
it.
have to stand up as a people and take a stand that
Because
this is
look
ridiculous.
at it. Look at the ETA, the Electronic Travel Authorization. There were a lot of persons that I would have done, and they gave them a limited time to use the ETA, and persons, up to April the 23rd, I find out was a bit harsh,
Right.
because persons are traveling after that period.
Right.
So now these persons who have a valid ETA cannot travel on it because they are traveling in August. So they would have applied to make sure that everything is prepared for them to travel to the UK. So I find that was a bit harsh, because now they have to come and apply for a visa. So yeah.
And moving forward, as it relates to persons who actually have a reason or a valid reason to seek asylum, do you think that this entire situation makes it harder for persons who have a real need?
Of course, it did make it harder for them, because you see, persons like to abuse a system where it seems easy at that time, so it would make it harder for the persons who genuinely needed that asylum, and now they can't, because look at what is happening. 400 and how much, Mr. Martin said this morning?
Okay.
489 persons?
I think it's 50 something.
50 something?
Yeah, around there.
I don't want
That
to
has
quote him
come
too
from
much,
Trinidad
but
and
coming
Tobago
from Trinidad and Tobago.
and applying for
So
asylum
it would make
in
it
the
very
UK.
hard for them.
But I mean, even when we look at it, a number of those persons are family members to a number of gang members, and who genuinely feel like their lives are in danger. But you have the ones that obviously are seeing it as a way out of Trinidad and Tobago and
Yes.
taking that route.
Yeah.
But genuinely, there are persons who are caught in the crossfire, the mothers, the sisters, the
Understand.
daughters of these gang members that genuinely are seeking refuge and an escape from the situation in Trinidad and Tobago. So my question would be, where do we find the balance between persons really wanting to, get away, escape, find a way out, as opposed to the persons that are really abusing the system?
And then with all these restrictions and questions, I know a lot of persons the requirements is not met for a lot of persons, because they're asking you to give your savings in pounds, not in TT. All right, so I know they make it really hard for us Trinbagonians to travel to the UK when I went through this form about 15 times, so it's going to be hard for persons seeking asylum to the UK at this time, especially with this visa restrictions and the requirements going forward.
I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, I believe it was maybe in 2018, I visited the UK on a European tour, just to look at some universities and stuff. And to me, that would have broadened my perspective, opened my mind to what is out there, what is possible to achieve, and it was pretty accessible at the time. So to me, now putting those restrictions and those barriers to traveling to the UK, it restricts the potential for a number of young persons to really explore what opportunities are available outside of Trinidad and Tobago. It used to be that you just needed your passport and a ticket and you had a gateway to the world, right? But now there are barriers being put in place. And just as Mr. Martin George said, the punishment does not fit the crime.
It doesn't.
Right? When we look at the entire population of Trinidad, I mean, if you told me 10,000 Trinbagonians have landed in London, I would say, okay, that,
400 and something. Yeah.
So, I mean, but we hope that the powers that be would do what is necessary. Now we have a new Prime Minister being installed today in the Honorable Stuart Young, and we are hoping that he, being the great negotiator that the Prime Minister boasts that he is able to have that conversation with the UK government.
Please.
And that something can come
I guess
out
during
of
the
that.
time, because with the Canadian visa, right, it was basically like this. And then during the time, things has been broken down, less requirements, it's less tedious. But because it's something new that is being implemented, it has have a lot of information just flooding, and persons are getting a bit, frustrated. You saw a custom going to a country for free, just freely go, and then all of a sudden all these restrictions and all these rules and regulations, consent,
And then
and all of that.
I'm gonna say this, and this is my personal opinion and not the view of
Yeah, go
Tobago
ahead,
updates. It's never that serious.
It's never
ever that serious.
Yes.
There are countries within Europe that you do not need a visa for that is way more beautiful than England. I'm just saying, right? Then we have the application here. This is just some of the this is just a look at what that might look like. This is I guess, Jody, this is your mock-up.
This is a mock-up,
of what this is going to look like. And again, as she indicated, if you are not comfortable with your personal data being in the hands of you do not know who, be careful. Is it that serious? Do you really need to go? Because they are asking for a lot of personal information.
Correct.
Right? And so you can also check to see what their data usage policy is, as well as the terms and conditions. How long would they be storing your information? Are you able to, after the process is complete, whether you got through or not, can you reach out to the embassy and ask them to destroy your information? These are all things that you have the right to ask them to discard of your data so that they do not store it in their system for whatever reason that might be, right? So as long as you know your rights, that is all that is necessary. So you see we are on page 8 of 12.
Yeah, it's 12 pages.
Right? I mean, I've done a visa application for the US for myself and for other persons, and it has never been this.
Yes.
I mean, with the new president of the United States, it may come to this very soon.
I really hope not. But I know they're supposed to have some implementations in April. I want to see what that would look like. But they're starting
that's
bit by
another
bit.
conversation to have, as well as, the US tries its best to crack down on illegal migrants.
Yes.
And I think that, the whole visa and green card process has been, started getting a bit more difficult, for persons. But we sit down and we look on, and, and we are anticipating what those changes might look like for us here in the region. We even heard recently that there may be visa, not restriction, but somewhat of a pullback from the US as it pertains to countries within the region who have been doing business with Cuba and the Cuban doctors.
I've seen
And
that
that
they
may,
just had that conversation.
yeah, and that may cause a number of our dignitaries, their visas may be pulled, it may become invalid, and restrictions may be placed there. But we sit and we look on to see what's happening, and as it unfolds, we will be here and we will definitely be talking about it. Guys, we want to thank you so much for being a part of the discussion this morning, and I want to thank Mrs. Nimblett so much for being here this morning
You're
and
welcome.
telling us all about her services. Remember that she is still here and available to assist you with your US, UK, and Canadian visa applications. And I'm guessing if you're trying to get to Dubai, you might just be able to call her and get help with that as well, right? So again, we want to thank you so much for
You're
your
welcome. Thanks for
continued
having me.
service and allowing Tobagonians to get access to seeing the rest of the world.
Yes.
Guys, again, we want to thank you so much for being a part of this morning's discussion. Did you get a chance to look at that opening ceremony, that practical opening ceremony on Saturday? Let me know. Put it in the comments. And also, I have a question. So we have been hearing on social media persons weighing in on that practical opening ceremony. There are persons who felt as though the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly should have been respected enough to ask to make his contribution at that ceremony. There are persons that are on the other side of that argument stating that, well, the relationship isn't a good one. Why would you ask someone to speak at your event that you are, not having a good relationship with? You don't know what to expect from them. What would they say? Would they embarrass you? Would they use it as an opportunity to showboat? And the conversation goes on and on. And I want to hear from you guys this morning, right before we go, what do you think? Do you think, for the sake of diplomacy and protocol, that the Chief Secretary should have been allowed to give his address at that event on Saturday? Guys, leave your comments in the comment section. Were you able to take a look at it, whether it was live or you were able to catch a couple clips from that opening ceremony? Do you think that the Chief Secretary should have been given the opportunity to contribute to that opening ceremony? Well, guys, that's it for us here this morning. Again, we want to thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Again, I am Chanel Felix, and I'm going to see you again tomorrow. So have a great day.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new day.